They did the unthinkable. The church said, okay. In 1972, a rugby team crashed high in the Andes Mountains, and to survive, they had to make a choice that shocked the entire world. It was October 12, 1972. 45 people boarded Flight 571. The Old Christians Rugby Club was flying to play a match in Chile. These were students, sons, brothers. Most were devout Catholics. The pilots had to cross the Andes. They planned to fly through the Planchon Pass in good weather, but the weather changed fast. The pilots calculated their position. They thought they'd cleared the peaks. They had not. October 13th, 1972, 3:34 p.m. The plane had hit the mountain at over 200 miles per hour. 13 people were killed on impact. 32 people were still alive. No shelter, no food, no warm clothing. The temperature at night dropped to minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit. The fuselage became their shelter. They had rugby balls, wine. They rationed the food carefully. A tiny square of chocolate per day. They melted snow using the wreckage. Injuries were everywhere. Roberto Canessa was a medical student. He did what he could with nothing. The first days were about hope. Surely someone was looking for them. Search planes were looking, but the fuselage was white. Days passed. The food ran out. 8 days after the crash, someone found a transistor radio. They huddled around it, listening, and they heard the news broadcast. The search had been called off. After just 8 days, the authorities had given them up for dead. No one was coming. They were 16,000 feet up, in the middle of winter. With no food left, they were going to starve. The bodies of the dead were still there, preserved by the freezing cold. Someone finally said it out loud. To survive, they would need to eat the flesh of those who had died. The room went silent. These were devout Catholics. In their faith, the human body. This felt like a mortal sin. But one of them said something that changed everything. "If we die," he said, "their sacrifice means nothing. But if we survive, they gave us the gift of life." They began, one by one. Most wept the first time. Some couldn't do it at all. No one judged them for it. They agreed. This was sacred. Nando Parrado had nearly died in the crash, in a coma for 3 days. When he woke, his mother was dead. His sister Susie would die days later. Parrado became something else after that. Then came day 17. A massive cornice of snow broke loose above them. The avalanche hit the fuselage at 3 a.m. as they slept. 8 more people died in that snow. The survivors inside woke to total darkness, buried alive. They dug with their hands. An aluminum tube let them breathe. Only 16 were still alive. They dug the fuselage free again. It was now deep winter in the Andes. Temperature, minus 40 at night. 2 men refused to accept waiting. Nando Parrado and Roberto Canessa had a plan that terrified everyone. They were going to hike out. Over those mountains. On foot. Everyone thought they'd die trying. Parrado didn't care. He'd already lost everything. Either he reached his father, or he died trying. They sewed seat covers into sleeping bags. They wore rugby boots and improvised socks made from insulation and clothing. December 12, 1972, day 61. The 2 men said goodbye. Everyone knew this might be the last time they'd see each other. They walked west, uphill, climbing glaciers with no ice axes. No ropes, no crampons, nothing. They slept in their improvised bag, pressed together in the freezing dark. Nando Parrado was enormous. Canessa was a doctor, and stubborn. On day 10, a river valley below. Green. Actual green. December 20th, 1972. They saw a man on the other bank, Sergio Catalan, a Chilean farm worker. He stared across the rushing river. The river was too loud to hear, so Parado wrote a note. He tied it to a rock and threw it across the river. Catalan read the note. He understood immediately. He rode for help, fast. The next morning, helicopters came. The 14 who waited at the fuselage heard the rotors. Then they saw them. 72 days after the crash, all 16 survivors were rescued. They were flown to a hospital Parado called his father. "Papa," he said, "I'm alive." Then came the press conference. The journalists asked how they survived, and the survivors told the truth. They had eaten the dead to survive. The world's reaction was immediate. Shock, outrage, fascination. Some called it unspeakable. Some called it the only choice. Then the Catholic Church spoke. The verdict was not what many expected. It was not a sin, the Church said. Extreme necessity, not desecration. The survivors could finally breathe. Alive, by Piers Paul Reed. It became an international bestseller. Ethan Hawke played Nando Parado. Parado himself became famous. He became a motivational speaker. His message? Life is the most precious gift. Canessa became a pediatric cardiologist. He saved children's hearts. The crash site is still up there. Some survivors make the pilgrimage back. They say it changes every time. 16 came home. They made a choice no one should have to, and it kept 16 human beings alive. The Catholic Church said it was mercy. Historians say it was the will to live. Parado says something simpler. We refused to abandon each other. In the end, that was all it was. 16 people who refused to give up. History's most desperate survival choice.